All right, we will get started. And hi, sorry, I saw you come in too.
They've shown ours 15 times.
Oh my gosh, is that a lot?
That seems like a lot.
It feels like it, very much so.
Huh, interesting. Yeah, just need one. I watch a lot of house huntery stuff, so I could quote them on what they tell you. But anyway, all right, let's get started talking about, so today is just sort of a free session for asking questions, talking about what you're working on, where you are in your projects. And I can ask specific people, but if someone wants to go first.
I can go if you want me to.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Amy.
Can you hear me fine?
Yeah.
So I'm on summer break, so it's kind of a strange time for a school librarian, but I have planned to start in the fall once a month to do a lunch and learn and to have different community members come in and talk about different things. And so far I have set up for, I have an investment guy coming in to talk about the importance of saving money even when you're young. And I have a nurse practitioner coming to talk about the dangers of energy drinks. And the police department's going to come talk about like how sharing one picture that seems like not a big deal can affect your life greatly. We have some mental health things happening and some goal setting. And I'm going to the Rotary next week to talk to them to try to get some more people signed up to come speak.
Any questions you have for us, or any questions us have for Amy?
How much time do they get?
Well, it's super fast because we don't allow children long to eat. So lunch is about 20 to 25 minutes. That includes the kids coming in and sitting down. And they'll do it 3 times in a row for each of our grades. So it's quick and easy and hopefully engaging. That's the plan.
Do you feel like the people that are coming are on the same page as you?
The guest speakers, yes. Yeah, I think so. And I talked to one guy, I haven't got him settled in 100%, but he was talking about like, he didn't think he was college material and didn't go to college. And he's like just retired as one of the biggest investment people in our town, and how like he had to find what he liked, and it wasn't straight out of high school that happened for him, and a lot of trials and tribulations. And he has a really interesting story. So I'm hoping he'll come kind of tell his little story about when you find what you're passionate about, learning takes a different turn. So that could be good.
So that's awesome. So if you talk to them about that, like I'm curious, and it might be helpful to others because we've had conversations about how do you get people interested and let them know what you're trying to do. How have you talked to people about this?
Well, the financial advisor is one of my partners, so that was an easy one. And I think, yes, kids will have a chance to ask questions, Tyler. That's my plan. And they're also going to have like tickets to come, and they'll know what the topic is, because I can't take all 200 from each grade. So it'll be limited seating, of course, but hopefully engaged kids who are interested in what we're talking about. So I've just kind of brought it up in conversations. Like that man I was talking about, we went on a student trip together, and we were walking through New York with our kids, and I was telling him what I did because I knew his background, and he started sharing with me his life story, and that's perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. And so a lot of them are just people I know in town that I know have good connections, and a couple of them early on I had a meeting with anyone who was interested, and some of them were from that group too.
So cool. I love that idea of having the conversation and learning about his background and then thinking about how that fit. That's really awesome. So remind me when this is going to happen in the fall? When?
It will happen once a month starting in September, and I hope to have enough to do it each month, at least September through April.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And then how are you going to, are there ways you're thinking about how you're going to find out what the youth from it, like what they're thinking? Besides the questions could be a great way to do that, but are there other things you're thinking about for that?
I'm in charge of all of our promotions at school, like so the TV that shows in the cafeteria and our Facebook and Instagram and all of that. I'm in charge of all that, so I take full advantage for the library anytime I can. And just conversations with kids as they're in the library, because the advantage I think school librarians have in this program is that we have an audience coming to us. We don't have to go out and find them. So I think just word of mouth, and I work with really great teachers that'll help me get the word out or give me names of, hey, I think this person would be a good one to come. And so I'm hoping we have like so many that that's a problem and not so few that it's not worth the time. That's my hope.
Tyler is talking about, Tyler, tell us more about how you think the snowball game would fit.
Oh, I just think that it would be cool if there was a little bit of interaction between the students and the speaker, rather than just lecture and then Q&A back and forth. Just some sort of interaction back and forth. And at least my kiddos really love anything that you can go ahead and throw. I've been doing the ACRES modules through the Maine Mathematics and Science Alliance, and we're constantly chucking papers at each other, and it's just really cool to go ahead and see that sort of interaction. How much more in-depth they go for asking questions, just so that they can go ahead and throw another snowball.
So far, I've been able to be kind of selective in who I've talked to and make sure that I have people that are going to be casual, that the kids can relate to, that will have more of a conversation than a lecture, and that I've really pushed that. I don't want it to be like another class for them. It's their lunch. I want it to be fun and entertaining as well as informational. So right now, we've got a really good group, I think.
Does anybody watch Gilmore? Oh, go ahead. Who is talking?
It was me.
Go ahead, sorry.
Amy, I was just curious if you had been considering doing any type of like interactive follow-up programming with the kids in the library space that would kind of build on the lecture series in some way.
Definitely, I'm really open to where this will lead, and my personality is very much a let's jump right on this and keep going. This whole planning thing since November is very new to me. I've done it with a few things lately that I'm like, oh, that sounds great, let's do it tomorrow. So that's one of the personal things I'm building on is I'm really good at that. Worked really well. Now let's go here or there, and my administration is very much on board to build it. However, I'm also in charge of student council, so I have those kids at my whim to do. If something works really well, we can build on that through student council too. So that's another aspect we have.
So have this memory. Sorry, it's a slight tangent, but not really. Does anybody watch Gilmore Girls? Did anybody watch Gilmore Girls, I should say? Amy? So remember when Lorelai went to talk to the class at the high school, and the thing they wanted to know about was when she was pregnant at 16. And while I don't think your young people are going to be asking about that, I mean, that's so interesting to me. I hadn't really thought about it, but thinking about your project, thinking about that's what was important to them. That's how they connected to Lorelai and what they knew about her, even though she was there to talk about running it in. So I wonder how those serendipitous moments where the young people get to ask, maybe it's a snowball thing at the beginning or something where, just a question before the person starts talking, finding out like, what are they curious about the energy drinks or the finance or whatever? Because I just think they might have questions that those people never even think about.
Some of my best programming has been when I let the kids lead me. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying not to have a rigid schedule. I don't want to have all of my spots filled up because I want to ask the kids, what do you want? Who do you want to come talk? I'll try to go get them to come, And so if I can have through Christmas pretty well set, and then we can go from there and build on what they are interested in, or something that went really well, so we can build off of that too.
That's awesome. Hey, Amanda and Sari, do you know the snowball thing? Have we talked about this before? Yeah.
Yeah. It's come up in other calls.
Yeah, obviously. Talkback boards and snowballs are big with this group. That's awesome. All right. Anything else, Amy, or questions for Amy? Thoughts for Amy? Thanks, Amy. I can't wait to hear how it all goes. All right, Allison, ask Tyler your question.
Of course, I just started printing something, so, oh, and it's gonna run out of paper and yell at me right now. So I was just curious. I know I read your post on the COP, and forgive me because now I can't remember it. I was just trying to pull it up. Did you do that yet? The character resumes. You did it. Okay, can you please tell us about it? Because I love that.
Yeah, so a friend of mine posted a story on my Facebook feed about a kid writing a resume, and that was all in like the voice of Groot, and everything was I am Groot, I am Groot, I am Groot. I'm like, oh, light bulb. What if I did that with video game characters? Because my kids know video games better than they know themselves at this point. And I could go ahead and give them a video game character or a movie character, and or even an actor, and they could probably tell me every single solitary movie or video game they've been in, and then go ahead and objectively rank, you know, top to bottom, which is their best performance and everything else. So from there, I'm like, okay, can we go ahead and identify some of the skills that like Mario has? You know, they're like, well, first he's a plumber. I'm like, well, isn't that he probably had to go to school for that, right? And they're like, yeah. So I'm like, well, there's his education. And they're like, well, he's Italian, so he can probably speak Italian. I mean, there's a little bit of cultural appropriation there with that, but it got their gears going, and they just kept on looking at like leadership skills, communication. There was some things about parkour with that, which I'm not sure that would be considered a soft skill or a hard skill, but there was adaptability. There were, at least with Princess Peach, the one that I had listed, they had her as being a really good manager because she was royalty. And I'm just like, wow, that was pretty good. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I would definitely like to expand upon it and probably run this yearly, just in case I get different kiddos in, or see what different kids learn going forward, if they can identify more skills and just use it as kind of like a baseline for their identification skills.
I just really love that idea, because it's something that they don't realize that they're having to have that thought process of identifying skills in other people, but also, like you said, making the connection between, okay, so he's a plumber. Well, what does that mean? And it's so, what do I want to say? Like unopposed. It's not like it's, you know, they have no idea. You know, it's, you know, we hate saying the word trickery, but there's a little trickery.
I own up to it. It was devious. Because
yeah, I mean,
yeah, we filled 25, 30 minutes, and just it felt like it went by instantaneously. We just grabbed out our Chromebooks. I ended up pulling up a template for everybody, and they just went to town.
That's so interesting. So Tyler, did they connect to any of it? Like when they were talking about the different skills, or did they connect to themselves at any time with that?
There were a couple of times, especially with the parkour things and things like that. I'm like, well, what could you say about that? How could you use that in a job? And then the one was talking about if you were a waiter, you have to go ahead and move really fast to check on your tables and get people water. Otherwise, you wouldn't get very good tips. And it's just like, I'm seeing some things here that it wasn't like full blown. I couldn't see a ton of light bulbs going off, but I know that I had planted a few seeds.
Cool. Anybody else? Thoughts, questions? Tyler, anything else you want to tell us you've been working on?
I go to the school on August 6th. I believe that's a Tuesday. It's registration day, and I'm going to have up all of my future ready stuff ready to go. Flyers for the esports team, recruiting for my teen activities board, just, yeah, kind of housekeeping stuff, trying to bring people in.
Cool. Yeah, we'd love to hear about that. That's August 6th. So school starts, is that school starts or just or?
That's registration. School starts on August 23rd.
Okay. 6 seemed really early, but I don't know. All right, Chris, what's happening with you?
Well, we just talked about school starting. So our school starts August 9th.
Oh, that is early.
Shocking. Yes. And I had, my partner is the area technology school. So high schoolers can go to that school in their junior or senior year. So I talked with all of the 8th graders last year about that possibility in high school and gave them an introduction to that. And then I had 4 students do the summer program that was offered through a grant, a local grant. And they got to go to basically a summer camp for 2 straight weeks. And then the second week, they got to pick one of the different areas of study and do a specific project in that area. So they are incoming 9th graders. So my 8th graders this next year, what we have planned is a career fair. And so my contact, Stephanie, will be one of the people in the career fair, but I think what I need to plan and what I'm working toward right now is in September, because that career fair will be in October for all of the 8th grade students in my school. And I like Amy's idea about lunch because, so that's kind of been sparking, how do I fit it in and not take up someone's time? If I have my 8th graders coming to the library for 2 straight days, then that would be 2 straight days that would tie up that person's time. But if I offered something at lunch, then it would be just students coming that were interested. And I can actually house about 35 kids in the library at lunch. But one of the things I was thinking about, Amy, is lunch, she's right, like lunch is for us 30 minutes total. That's standing in line, getting your tray, coming to the library. I used to be able to expand on that a little bit, and there was the homeroom time right adjacent to lunch for 7th and 8th grade. So I could have an hour to work with. That's actually, I'm a National Junior Honor Society sponsor. So we had our meetings during lunch, but we had that whole hour because we could take up their homeroom time. But next year's schedule is going to change. I'm not going to have that available anymore. Our homeroom time is going to be at the end of the day. So that would be another time possibly that I could have Stephanie come in, but it's still only half an hour. So, I mean, you don't really have a lot of time to do even a snowball activity or other kinds of question and answers, because if once the kids get seated, then, and the person talks, I mean, you've got 5 minutes left for question and answers. So time scheduling is something that I have to figure out.
Do you see Amy's chat? It says she's going to pass out lunch line skip cards. What is that, Amy?
So if I'm going to have a time where kids can sign up, and the kids that sign up will get just a little like laminated card, and they take that in the cafeteria and they pass the whole line and go get their tray first and then come on to the library, and that will help a little bit with that time.
I have that available too. I have passes. So I have passes that I could check out to students ahead of time, and then those would automatically, if they have that pass, they can go to the front of the line to get their lunch. And there's different staff at different lunches, but that would be something easy that's at least giving you a little bit more of a time period, but it's still pretty compressed. So
also some businesses maybe that might want to sponsor lunch. So if you say, would you like to buy us 3 or 4 pizzas, if it's your speaker, you have a business, maybe then the food's already available to them, or, you know, sandwiches or something.
We have laws against that in Missouri.
What?
Yeah, we have a very limited amount of food days throughout the year, like 6 or 8, and those are the only days we can give any food, even like a candy bar as a reward. So when I do like my readers award, like reward lunches, like I'm not even gonna give food next year because it's so hard. Then on those days, every teacher in the building is like giving food rewards, so the kids are so full they've ate all day long. So it's kind of a bit, food is a big mess in our world. But I would definitely like recommend they bring sack lunches if they can. But have a high number of free and reduced lunches, so that isn't always an option for our students. But yeah, can't give the kid a pizza. It's a sad, sad day.
One of the things I've done before is had the cafeteria make sack lunches, and then I had to have all of the students' names. We have a lot, between 60 and 70 free and reduced lunch students also. So they're getting, they don't have to stand in line. I mean, I turned in everybody's name, and so if the cafeteria is pretty good that they can handle that, and they can charge the kids' accounts for that. But then you get sack lunch instead of hot lunch, so that could be something negative because they are giving up their time to socialize. So that's a little bit of a factor too if I use lunchtime. So something to think about, though. I like the idea because it at least is a free time that I could. So thanks, Amy, for sharing about your project.
That socializing thing is interesting because I'm wondering, like, how does this food is such a social experience, right? That's part of, it's not just that it's lunch in school, it's that eating is such a social experience. But then how do you bring that into what you're trying to do with them in the library, right? Like, so how do you have the food, the social, and the experience in those 30 minutes in the library all together? I don't have an answer. I'm just trying to.
Obviously, Missouri is trying to be all about nutrition, which is awesome. But luckily, my school allows us to give out food rewards, and we're not quite as strict. So I'm going to have a cafe for reading this next year, and have like kids bring your own book clubs and offer things like hot chocolate. And I'm already trying to gather some free stuff or people donating stuff so I can have, I don't have to fund that out of all my book fare, because we don't really have funds for like rewards like this, like food. But that would be interesting to do a different type of club besides reading with those resources. So, any questions for what's happening with me besides me selling my house?
Have you thought how you're going to assess, much like Amy has?
I do have to do an assessment with the 4 kids that already participated in the program that went to the technology school. But I am hoping that they will be willing to come back and talk to the students below them because it's something I'm going to be continuing every year. So if they would be willing to come in the spring to talk to students about how they experienced and what kind of helped them discover about themselves, then that would be a way to kind of continue the discussion, but also hear what their thoughts were about technology, or it's not really technology, about industrial, I forget the name of the school. So, it's all kinds of trades. They could talk about, their experience with the trades or what they're thinking for the future.
You mentioning club, have I already said this? Like I've started being obsessed with the word club and what that means to youth. Have I already talked about this? No, I'm looking at Allison because she's giving me feedback.
But I want to hear about it.
Right,
Is it similar to how you feel about puppets?
No, it's a positive. It's a good thing, Allison. So because a club is all based on an interest, right? Like if you join a club, you mostly join that club based on having an interest with someone else, right? Whether it's, of course, like it's an anime club or a video game club or whatever. That's because you have a particular interest. I've been thinking a lot about clubs and libraries and as a way to bring community together, all different ages or whatever. Because I was thinking about when I was on yearbook, I'm considering yearbook in high school a club, right? It's an extracurricular activity. It was all people who were interested in producing this thing, solving a problem, so to speak, producing this thing. We all would meet together regularly, talk about it, go off and do our own things and come back and create this thing, right? So like I did layout, somebody else did sports photos, somebody else did text, I don't know what. But it was a club. And so I think I keep thinking about it with this project, like, what are some of the ways we can have whatever kind of club that help young people think about what they want to do with their lives, what their futures are? And you said club, Chris, so now I want you to do a club that's based on these interests that can help them figure out their lives. I don't know. I'm not making sense, but I've been thinking about it a lot.
I have a question for you, Linda.
Yeah.
So what in your mind is the difference between a club and a team? So could you technically say, or I know it wouldn't sound right, you were part of the yearbook team or the team working on the yearbook.
Oh
what
my
are the connotations between club and team? Because we teach a lot of soft skills teamwork.
Right.
We don't really talk about teamwork.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a really good question. That's so interesting. Right. I'm not going to gain club work, but my work in a club would help me be successful on a team, right? I don't know. What do people, I mean, it's like I said, I've been obsessing about it recently.
See, and I have, and I don't know if, because I'm not in the school, but I am in an organization that has a school club.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you that nobody's in the club because they want to be in the club. They're in the club because it's going to look good for this and they're going to look good for that. And they get volunteer hours and they do, and I will say that in the school system we have, the same people that are in one club are in the other 10 clubs. They're all in the clubs because for some reason it's been told to them that if they are in all the clubs and don't necessarily do that much in one particular club, then they can list all those 10 clubs on their college admissions and look all fancy. We seem to have the same teens that do one thing, do it all.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad because then you don't really get the full experience.
But do you think it would change, Allison, if you changed the name to team? For instance, like rather than a Lego club or Lego robotics club, if it was a Lego robotics team and it had those connotations of competitiveness and
I love the word team way better than club.
Same though. I'm just like, yeah, now I'm obsessed with it.
You guys are that's a good one.
But so I guess the thing that I'm thinking about is if we're thinking in middle school with the interest driven, I mean, always interest driven, but if we have these teams focused on a particular thing where they gain the skills to help them think about their futures, and if we label it that way, does that help bring young people together in a different way?
I just had the best image. I don't know if you put a volunteer team, it's like makes volunteering this really exciting thing that like this group of people, they're just gonna team up and slay some volunteer hours. Plant some plants, build some houses.
Yeah.
I don't know. It gives it, I don't know. Why does it give it such a, like, I don't know, it does.
Yeah, and sorry, that's definitely true. Like, what if the youth start and organize the club?
Yes.
And Allison, she has a question for you.
In the schools, yes, I would say they all are, except, well, because they all have to have sponsors. They can't just form their own club. So they would have to have an adult sponsor. So even if it's an outside organization like Rotary in my instance, if Rotary wanted a club in the high school or in the middle school, they would have to find a teacher sponsor to help facilitate that. So yes.
So in my library, this last year, they started it was like a D&D club, and those kids wanted to do it. They went and found somebody who would sponsor it, and they cracked me up. It was in the library. I didn't sponsor it, but it was in the library, and it was like one of the most active clubs we had because the kids wanted it, the kids did it, and then it turned into, well, could we also have a board game club? And then they had another teacher found they go and find people to sponsor them. And those clubs have been the most successful when they've been like something the kids started themselves.
Exactly. That's awesome. All right. Well, that was our little, it wasn't a tangent, but slightly. All right.
No, but it's good for when you think about it, say you find a group of kids that want to start something and you say, how about you call it a team? And then they might get excited about it.
Well, yeah. And I think that in having them, or having them come up with something, but then not forgetting that what they're doing can have an impact on and how they think about their futures and thinking about what they're interested in, all of that. So Roxanne, what's happening with you?
I think Roxanne can usually only type.
Oh, right, that's right, I forgot. So Roxanne, type for us. And while you're typing, Rochelle, what's happening with you? Oh, she did already type. Rochelle, don't go yet. Oh, right. Tell us more about all of it. I'm curious, like, how you're gonna start. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, I'm curious. I'll start because I'm talking. I'm curious about how you gonna start that change maker idea. Like, how you gonna have them get involved and get interested or whatever? Or they coming up with a problem that they're gonna then solve? Is that the change? How does that work? I know you've talked about it before.
I think it's a book, but I could be wrong.
I remember you told us a bit about this before. What other questions do people have?
I'm curious, Roxanne. Do you think that the community walk around or community tour would be a good activity with the Changemaker book that you're working on, the Changemaker project? And if it would be, would students be able to go ahead and pair up or work as a team or a collective to go ahead and enact that change?
So Tyler, are you thinking they would walk around and see the community, see what changes they might want to make in the community? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm just thinking, giving them voice and choice on it or within that. I mean, I remember how we had to go and look around our community for clusters and that entire activity clear back in, gosh, what was it, like November or December?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would have really liked to have taken a student or gotten a student's perspective in what they saw within the community. But I don't have that option since I'm not in the school.
You still can, Tyler.
You still can, Tyler.
Future ready work is never done.
So how are you going to do that, Roxanne, with exposing them to different organizations? And are you going to ask them, I guess I wonder like how that works with the change thing. Like, are they going to talk about changes? Are you going to ask them to talk about what it means to them to change something or work towards change? I don't know exactly what the right phrase is. Oh, got it. Oh, awesome.
I have a question for her too.
Go forth.
Roxanne, you said that you're concerned about time.
Hmm.
And it starts in October, so I know that's not that far, but what's the biggest thing that's holding, that you feel is not going to be accomplished, or what are you struggling with the most as far as time? The kids won't have enough time? Okay. Okay. When would it end? It starts in October. Does it end at the end of the school year or May? Okay.
I wonder. So I guess it would depend, right? And you could help them think through what that would take. Or even if they think about, well, what could we get done in order to start change or to have some impact? It's interesting.
Or just a plan,
Yeah.
a change-making plan.
Well, and maybe you can work with a partner where after May, yeah, scale down the bid, or maybe you can work with a partner where the partner and the youth can continue after May. Oh, good question, Rochelle. So if they're doing individual projects or project together, and do you know, and how many? We have too many questions. How many youth are you thinking? Oh, wow. Yeah, you could get some great artifacts and see, some really interesting materials that they develop over time. I bet you could do it. So when you're thinking you could start them on the change on their project, I bet you could do it. Am I being crazy? I think so. Yeah. Rochelle, that's a good point.
I also think with them coming up with the ideas is going to be very inspiring for them to want to complete the projects, even if they don't have a completed thing in hand in May. They still might want to keep the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And follow up, like you had said, with maybe a person in the community or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and definitely. And sorry, I was thinking too that they could group up based on what their skills and interests are on the topic, right? So, what they're going to have to achieve, and then what they'd have to, who wants to do which part. Yeah. That's awesome. Other questions for us, Roxanne, or questions for Roxanne?
Roxanne, I was wondering if there are any specific obstacles to the project potentially continuing past May, or specific barriers to that.
If I'm correct, she's going into an after-school program. So that the program would then end. Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Got it.
So is I'm wondering, like, once, right? So once school's out, transportation could become an issue. All of the challenges faced in out of school time that doesn't happen in the school. Allison, what are you thinking? You thinking something?
Maybe it's something that could be transferred to the library.
Yeah.
If you wanted to. I mean, I know that you still have those barriers of transportation and actually showing up, but maybe if they've developed kind of this group and rapport with one another, maybe you could offer sessions at the library in the summer sessions, you know?
Yeah. I wondered about that too. Yeah. And maybe the library could be involved from the beginning, so then it would be just a seamless transition and the youth will have a relationship with them. Cool. Can't wait to hear more, Roxanne. Do you have any more questions for us? Anything you're wondering about besides time and getting it done and all those big things? Thanks. All right, Rochelle, fill us in.
Well, I haven't been doing a ton with my career fair that's going to be in October at the Montessori school, just because school's out and my partner teacher is gone for the summer. But we've been working on other fall programming. Well, with the kids, they're planning to set up and do all the decorations, set up and organize most of it as part of their school class work. We're going to do passport books to get them moving around to see all the vendors that come in or the businesses that come in. And then we're going to do a pre and post test assessment so we can compare what they thought they were going to learn, what they thought it was going to be about, and then what they actually get from it. And then we're also thinking about doing a writing assignment, kind of more like a critical assessment or reaction paper to it afterwards as part of one of the writing assignments for class. And that'll be October 25th. And then otherwise, we've been doing a lot just at the library for summer stuff. So we're doing an internet safety class beginning of the school year. And that's going to be a family program, but we're focusing it more on like that upper elementary, middle school, high school age group. And then we partnered with the city to do a grant project. We're calling it Passports to the Park, and just different places around town are sponsoring it and holding different activities at different parks around town. And the library is one of them because we have a huge park. And then I've got coding club going, and that's going great. The kids love it. A book club is going to start in the fall, and then Makerspace has been going well. Working on with another teen. She's very much into writing and the NaNoWriMo stuff, and so we're going to put together a teen writing project for November too. So, and then we're going to do an open mic night. So, next week actually. So we'll see how that works.
Just a general open mic night?
Just for teens. Yeah, just no instruments allowed because for this one. We may allow it later, but yeah.
Wow,
So.
I'm exhausted. That's awesome. So you said something in there. So are you, when you're talking about the summer stuff, and I'm thinking about Todd's post on the Community of Practice a couple of weeks ago, so are you embedding any of the Future Ready stuff in any of that summer stuff?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
Tell
Yep.
us more.
A lot of it actually comes with the coding club, because they ask a lot of questions just in general conversation that come up about like, oh, I could use this in, you know, whatever school assignment, or maybe in high school I could join this robotics club, or middle school kids can join robotics. So we started the coding club for 10-year-olds and up, so 5th grade and up. So the 5th graders come in, and some of our members of coding club are robotics team members at the middle school and high school. So it gets them a step into the other clubs at school. And then we've had the local TV channel people come in and show them how to edit video, and they made their own little movie trailers and things like that. And they talked about volunteering with the TV station, learning different career skills with TV and media.
That's awesome. And Chris's, did you see Chris says, I like the pre and post questionnaire idea. Chris, questions about that? Or Rochelle, anything you can tell us more about?
Well, it has to fit the Montessori method, so I have to have all my questionnaires and everything okayed by the school before we can actually use them. So that's one reason I haven't posted anything yet, because they haven't been okayed yet on the COP. But mostly open-ended questions, so I'll have to figure out a way to score it to get data from it. But a lot of open-ended questions where they can just write their own responses out.
Yeah, that's going to be hard. Maybe our evaluator people here will have some ideas for you about how to analyze that data.
Yeah.
And then what was the other thing you said about the writing? What did you say about the other evaluation you were going to do?
I have a older teen. I think she's 18 or 19 now, but she is very into creative writing. Yeah, NaNoWriMo. And so I can't remember what it all stands for, but it's basically where you can write and publish your own novel in a month. And then you do write-ins, and our library does one for the adult group, writing group, in November. And then we usually have different authors come in and talk about their writing styles and stuff. And I've got one coming in October for teens, a YA author coming to do that. But she's going to help me lead a write-in for the teen group, the middle school, high school group.
Did you say something about writing as an assessment in the Future Ready? What, did I make that up?
The teachers at the Montessori school use a lot of reaction papers for their assessments. So I'm thinking about doing that for one of their assignments, and then I get copies too. So.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thoughts or questions? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. I thought about doing the sliding scale on numbers too, to make it a little easier to score.
That's a great idea. Other thoughts or questions? Anything else people are thinking about, wondering about? Future Ready related? Allison, I'm just curious, are you, so I know that you don't have to be doing this, but are you thinking about year 2 for your project still, and how that might change from year 1?
Yes. I was actually supposed to have a meeting about it last week, but
Yeah, it didn't happen.
we are set to probably meet, I would say, in the next couple of weeks, and just go over all of our information as far as what the teens said they liked, what they didn't like, and then go kind of circle back, because we're going to add more partners, because we believe we'll be provided transportation. So that means we could do 1 to 3 different things in one day, as well as go a little bit further out than kind of just the downtown area.
Right.
So I think we're going to look at that, and then we'll look at, what the days are structured like. And I think then we'll start reaching out to potential partners. I think, and I can't remember if I said this, I think we did decide that when we do it the next time, we're going to do it probably in June, and it'll probably be a 1-week thing where it'll either be 3 days or 4 days. We haven't decided, whatever we can tolerate, as far as being gone for that many.
Yeah.
And then, and we'll do it back to back, and then kind of hopefully start with something and then build upon the different skills and different businesses and things like that, and try to find some sort of flow to it.
Yeah.
But that's, and also highlight a lot more trade jobs that are local, which we couldn't have really hosted a 6-hour day at before, because we have a lot of really cool jobs close by. I mean, I think there's even, like, close by, there's a place that manufactures go-karts. I mean, so
Yeah.
So I think hopefully within the next couple of weeks, I think we're gonna start doing the to-do list on who we need to reach out to and who we need to, but it'll happen again, and it'll probably be slightly different, but but the same. I think I was gonna say that and I know we only have like a few minutes left today, but I think it'd be an interesting topic, maybe even if we had more time, about what Diane's COP post was.
Yeah. About the quitting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About knowing when to quit.
Yeah.
So
expand on what you're thinking, Allison.
Well, no, I mean, just with how youth have, like you even wrote, I mean, how youth have this just doom and gloom thought process of failure and quitting and not completing something, or that somehow impacts their worth, or how they, what they view their self as. And how a lot of people became successful because they knew when to walk away from certain projects, from certain goals, from certain careers.
Right.
So.
Always asking those hard questions, Tyler.
So here's the problem. I don't know. It's really me and my community partner. I think my community, if I was kidnapped tomorrow, I think she would continue on with it, because I think that she's somebody that just feels very passionate on the economic development side and working with youth. If she was gone, I think I would have some problems. I'm not saying I couldn't do it. I'm just saying I don't know if I would have somebody that was a true partner. It would have to be the right person that was invested in actually doing the coordination and felt strongly about it. So I think they might, but sometimes it's just the perfect storm that you got going on.
It's the hard part with all of this, right? Is if it's not
sustainable.
It's not sustainable if it's not embedded in the system and not person-based, right?
And I think the longer it goes on, and the more youth that experience it, and the more parents that experience it, and I think that if we incentivize it with local employers basically giving favor to teens that complete the program, when they start the hiring process, and you really I mean, the whole thing is really changing the culture of hiring in a sense, and acknowledging certain things. And I feel like if you can get that done, it's going to take several years, but I feel like if you get that past that hump of starting to really embed it, I think it would continue and there wouldn't be an issue because businesses like doing it. But you know, getting there, it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately.
No. So you just have to stay there for a very long time.
I got a year-long lease, so at least another 12 months.
All right, all. So I think that's a great idea, Allison, about talking about that quit thing. We can ask Diane to maybe facilitate that discussion and maybe look at some other articles and things like that. So we can do that. And then August, we have a weird date coming up because the August 8th, is that when it is? Hopefully, when is it? The North Dakota person, August 5th, which is really, I should not tell you, is only 2 weeks away. A little more than 2 weeks away. So I know, I just can't, I said to someone today, I feel like it's September already. So it
Forget
doesn't,
August.
September, we forget August, there's all this stuff, it's September. So anyway, so thank you all. I'll get this posted tomorrow. If you have questions, let us know. See you on the COP and hopefully on August 5th with Kirsten, I think is her name, the North Dakota person. Allison and Carol, don't leave.
Got it.